All right. We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, my special guest today is Curtis Ellis. What's up, Curtis? How are you, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Um, for the folks who are going to know about you, they're going to hear about your story. But I had the opportunity and the pleasure to ride with you and your family and some of your buddies this weekend at Vale. And I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in that for the folks watching, Curtis freaking rips. um, but Curtis, just going into the whole thing, I know we see the spy background for the folks listening in on the podcast, audio only. Curtis has a beautiful, beautiful backdrop there, spy from the Bolle brand, and he's going to talk a little bit about that here in a bit. But Curtis, why don't you just give us an overview of Curtis Ellis?
I'm just a guy that loves to work hard, support my family, and play bikes. That's really all it is, And the it's funny, I in during this whole COVID thing, you think about the common denominators in life, and bike is just always right there. It's
Mm.
really funny, and um, that's really me. I'm a super simple person. I don't expect much. I don't, put much out there, but that's me, and I'm fortunate enough in this position to work with some amazing brands that really fuel my passions. So it's pretty amazing.
That is amazing, and you're definitely a really cool, genuine dude. For the folks out there who are going to learn, Curtis Ellis is actually the vice president of sales for the Bolle brand, and you guys here in Southern California probably know about Spy Optics. That's definitely one of the brands there. Um, but to get to the vice president role, it just doesn't happen overnight. And
Yeah.
how many years have you been in the industry, Curtis?
I mean, really, it started at the age of 14, just working in bike shops, building bikes, things like that. But specifically in the eyewear space, it's been about 18 years. So,
Dang.
I started as a sub rep with Oakley in the Utah, Wyoming market, and supported all the retailers and did the best job I could do. And Oakley provided me such great opportunities. It's a great brand, and I learned so much from everybody at Oakley. And um, so I started as a sub rep, and then I became a principal rep, which was very very interesting at the time because I'm cut more from the action sports cloth, but the position I was offered was optical only. So it was
Hmm.
doctors' offices, prescription eyewear, and at the time that they offered me the position, I was my wife was 8 months pregnant with our first child, and
Hmm.
I had no choice but to jump on the opportunity. But man, I learned so much, and it's crazy how much I learned during that time that really catapulted my career for sure.
Wow. And when you say a sub rep, is that kind of you're out in territory and then you're fielding things for the primary rep, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
so in our space we call, the primary rep the principal rep, and as the business grows, there's a few options you have. You can cut the territory down and add a new principal rep, or you can work with the principal rep and they can hire some sub reps to handle, some of the business so that the principal rep can focus majority of their time on the key accounts. And at the time I was hired as a sub rep, Oakley was literally crushing it, and they saw tremendous value in the optical side of the business. So I was able to manage all categories, or what we call a jote rep, a jack of all trades.
Hmm.
And that was the funnest time, to be honest with you. It was great. I could jump in my car. I had, if I went into a bike shop, I quickly threw on my flannel and a hat. If I was at a doctor's office, I, had a nice button up and had to kind of
Dang.
clean up a little bit. And then, so it really taught me the whole spectrum of the business, which
Wow.
I reflect on those days frequently because it was so much fun.
God, I could imagine the two different cultures in the same day, just depending
Yeah,
on what
yeah,
was on your call deck for that day.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. You said something really interesting. You said you're cut from the action sports side of the world. And let's get into that a little bit because I'm sure this is going to tie into how you ended up at Oakley. Um, but I had heard you say that at one point as a kid, you had missed the sign up for baseball practice, and that led into the biking world. Can you start there and take us on back to what happened that day? Because literally that one thing changed everything.
It did. I mean, it started before that, when I was just, man, I was barely three, and my dad, took the training wheels off my bike, and he said, here you go ride. And
Oh man.
and I don't remember this. This is all stories from my mom, but I started crying, and he put the training wheels back on, and then I got even more upset, and so he took them back off, and he put me on the bike, and he grabbed the seat just like every dad does, and he sent me on my way, and I took off riding. And from that
Dang.
moment on, everything really changed. And it's really funny. The one thing I do remember about that moment was after I started riding, there was a hose across the sidewalk, and I
Oh
had to go
god.
over the hose, and I was so scared. I was like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?"
Oh yeah.
We got over that. It was fine. But from that moment on, I was genuinely hooked on the freedom you get from two wheels. And
Wow.
flash forward to, like, probably 1987. It was 1987. And my mom was, a tomboy. She loved softball, and I was her only boy, and baseball was the mission. And
Mm.
my dad died when I was 4, and so at this
Oh,
point
I'm sorry.
I had a stepdad, and he rode bikes, he rode dirt bikes, and he was terrible at ball sports. And so we and I don't know if he planned this. He may have planned this. I'm not exactly sure, but we got to the rec center where you sign up for little league, and the signups were closed. And the lady, at the rec center told us that it was closed and we missed the cutoff. And he looked at me with a big smile, and he said, "I guess you get to race bikes." And it's funny
Wow.
because I remember the first time we showed up to the track. I didn't have a number plate. I had a nice bike. That's one thing my parents always, always, always gave me, was really good equipment. But I had a paper plate with a Sharpie number on the front, and I was so into the sport that, I had magazine cutouts taped to all of my walls, and I was
Oh,
I was
dang.
just in it. And growing up in Salt Lake City, there was a lot of local pros, and
Oh, yeah.
I remember being in line with my stepdad, just a 7-year-old Grom, and I looked back, and Fuzzy Hall was right behind me, and I was like,
Oh god.
"Holy cow!"
Freaking out.
Yeah, totally, 100%. And my dad had to put my rear tire between his legs so I could stay up in the gate, because I couldn't, I hadn't figured all that out yet. And
Oh.
we took off, we did our thing, and it all kind of kicked off, from racing BMX bikes at an old track in Salt Lake City that's no longer in existence. It's called Mountain View BMX. And
Mountain View BMX.
yeah,
Wow.
that's what kicked it off. Yeah.
Wow. So age of 7, you are, going into the first races. I mean, even at that age and seeing Fuzzy Holland, how how would you say your stress level or heart rate or was it excitement at that age? I mean, I'm trying to remember as a kid, something like that. Would that be scary or would that be exciting or all the above like it would be today? Do you remember that?
Well, it's funny, and now that I have a 10-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter, I try to put myself in their shoes in these situations and try to, calm their nerves. And my stepdad had no idea who was behind us in line, but the only thing that went through my head was, are they going to catch me? Am I going to get in their way? And so once we dropped in and I started going down the track, it all kind of fled away. And I had an amazing family growing up, and I remember my older sisters on the track yelling my name, go go go, and it was
Aw.
it was a fun time, no question.
That is awesome. That is so cool. Do and in BMX racing, do they do that? Like, is it a 30-second takeoff, like in some of the mountain biking races, where they spread you out that way, or how do they do
No,
that?
it's like a moto, right? So the gate
Oh, gotcha.
drops, you go around the track and then it's done, and then they reset the gate and the next group goes. So there's not even two groups on the track at a time. So, you
Gotcha.
know, my
Gotcha.
my worry was completely inconsistent and not real. So
But you looked back and freaked out.
yeah, and it was at the time when it was like the half shell helmets with like the funny like kind of mouth guard. It's funny during COVID, it kind of is fitting, but and I thought, man, I need a mouth guard. You know, these guys
Yeah.
have mouth guards. I need a mouth guard.
Oh man, it's amazing the impressions, of people that you look up to and how true that is. The perception really becomes a reality,
Yeah,
especially at that age, for sure.
absolutely.
Oh my God. So, BMX racing, how long did you do it and how did you fare off in that sport?
We recreated. My family recreated like crazy. I grew up with a boat and snowmobiles and the whole deal. And I raced for 2 years. I never once got a first place, but I never once didn't get a trophy. So I was always second or third.
Oh,
And
podium boy. Yeah.
yeah, but like I never got the big trophy. And so I did that for 2 years. I did pretty well. It was fine. I moved up some classes and had a great time doing it. But I remember sitting at it was national, so we had races in the morning, and then we had a break in the middle of the day, and then we had races in the evening. And during the break, we went to lunch and with my mom and my stepdad, and my stepdad convinced me to skip the afternoon and go out on the lake. And so I never went back to BMX racing. Right then is when I transitioned over to mountain biking, and
No
Hans
kidding.
Ray was a big deal with GT doing trials, and I
Wow.
looked up to that kind of crew, so um, I switched. I went to mountain bikes.
And how old was this?
So this would have been '89. So I
Okay,
was I
2
was nine
years
at that point. Yeah,
2 years in, 9 years old.
yeah,
Wow, your stepdad really had a big role into it, that, whether he did it on purpose or not at the beginning, but I love that smile going, "Well, looks like you're gonna race bikes."
yeah. And I was so hooked on bikes, anyways. I mean, I grew up watching that old BMX Bandits, like Nicole Kidman's first ever movie, and then Rad came out, and Rad was life changing. Rad. Geez, me and my whole family, we have Rad hoodies. We watch it probably twice a month, still to this day. And that was my roots. That was my like what I wanted to be. That the part in Rad when Crew Jones says, "All I'm good at is riding this bike." I was like, yes, like that
Yeah,
that is life. So
identified with that.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Oh, man. With, going back to the podium spots, I mean, obviously, hitting a podium is always a great accomplishment. Did you feel anything about not getting that first place slot in those 2 years you were racing in the BMX world?
not until later. At the
Oh,
time,
really?
I just wanted to go home with the hardware, and I got a trophy every single Thursday at the race, and I still have a lot of the trophies, but at that point, it was more about just going home with a trophy. And later in life is when I realized I kind of blew it, and I could have tried harder, and I had some regret. And that's it's formed me in a lot of the ways I go about projects and career and a lot of things. It's just don't have regrets. Give everything you have into whatever you're doing, because whatever the outcome is, at least you can say I put everything I had into getting this done. So
Man, that's such good reflection, and it's exactly where I was going to go with it. I was going to ask you if that helped shape kind of some of the high performance that you've done in the career working world, and it sounds like it has.
yeah, no question. I mean, having kids and being where I'm at in life now, the whole goal is to raise my family, knowing you should never have regrets. You're gonna have crossroads in life, and you're gonna have to make decisions and weigh the pros and the cons out the best that you can, so that later on in life you don't have any regrets. So
Yeah, love that. Love that. Calculated risk, failing forward, all those great mental things that you can take with you because that's
yeah.
something you've got control over.
Totally. And you fail way more than you succeed.
That's
And you really have to learn from those failures to make sure they don't happen again, you know?
exactly. I always say to the kiddos, if there are any kiddos out there watching or listening in on the podcast, that a lot of times the road to success is definitely filled with failure. But if you were to put the analogy of a video game, right? You are going to fail at the video game. Your character is going to die in the video game. You're never going to just get on there the first time and make it to the end. And it's something that kids can do all day long. They can play those video games, they can fail, they can learn from their mistakes, and they can eventually beat the game. But somewhere along the lines, when we become adults, we fail at something and people want to give up.
Yeah.
They forget that old video game analogy that, oh, okay, I should have went left versus right. I should have ducked versus jumped, you know. But that's always a great thing to remember. God, I love
Yeah.
that. I
If we
love
only
that.
had infinite lives, right?
Yes, yes, infinite lives and money.
Yes, yes.
uh, so, I guess we could fast forward a bit now. Well, or take us back to the mountain bike, because you were this 2 years into BMX racing. You went into mountain biking in 2009. Again, thankfully to the encouragement of your stepfather. That's definitely key. What do you remember? What mountain bike was your first bike?
My first bike, um, I do. I have no idea where they bought this thing. I have no
Oh.
idea. It was a
This
mountain
is going to be
high.
great.
It was a mountain high country road. It had this cool crackle shell paint job on it, and I demolished that thing in about 6 months.
Oh
And
man.
and quickly they realized, that this is a problem. So my first real mountain bike was a giant ATX 760, fully rigid, um, canary yellow, and I loved that bike.
Nice.
It was the coolest thing ever at the time.
Giants putting out some good stuff, you know.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
in back then, canary yellow, like I bet from that racing world, you saw that yellow, you were like, yes,
Well,
yes.
it's just fast. Like it's a fast color, right? So
Yeah.
you
Heck
can't go
yeah.
wrong for sure.
No, definitely not. Did
Yeah.
you did you pick that bike out? Were you able to pick that one out specifically, or did your parents kind of help get that because they knew, the style of bike that you'd probably do best with?
No, they took me I was the kid at when my mom took me to the grocery store, I spent the entire time at the magazine rack just looking through mountain bike action or whatever publication there was with bikes in it. And
Oh, wow.
so I'd kind of done my own research, and in Salt Lake there was a cool shop, and they took me in, and it was part of my birthday, and they just said, here you go. And at
Oh,
that age you're really limited to what fits you. And
yeah.
um, that bike, I didn't really want the yellow, but it was the only bike that fit me,
Got
so
it.
it's what we went with.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. I mean, even to this day, I have a 9-year-old and he wants a dual suspension mountain bike. It's hard to find anything right now because of COVID and everyone
Hmm.
that's nabbing up bikes. But then, geez, do I get him a 24 kids bike that he'll outgrow, or do I go adult extra small? It's
Yeah,
hard.
I mean, you rode with me and my son, and I had really, when he had outgrown his little 20-inch hot rock, specialized bike, I thought, sweet, let's get him a full suspension, it'll be great. And then I thought back to my past, and he's like, no, I'm a purist with mountain biking, and I said, you need to learn how to navigate lines and rocks, and you're getting a hardtail. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to your son. He rips as well. Good Lord, he was sending everything that day. I love that age. There's no fear.
none, there's no
It's
fear. It's
no,
amazing.
as fast as you want, like never gonna get bucked. For some reason, just huck everything,
Yeah,
all lines.
exactly, exactly.
I love it. I love it. We got a comment coming in here. Obi-Wan Toady. Obi-Wan Toady, thank you so much for being on the shows, man. You are the best. He says, what up, MTB daddies? What up, Obi-Wan Toady? Hey, real quick, Obi-Wan, put it in the comments. We're just talking about first bikes. Do you do you recall your first bike? Um, we were just talking about hardtail, dual suspension, and bikes for our kiddos. I think our kiddos have it a lot easier today. They have so many more choices than we
Everything
had.
comes with front suspension, you know.
I
There's no rigid bikes left,
I
you know.
know. It's crazy. It's crazy. So as you got on that mountain bike and you were going along, and you never went back to BMX racing since then, did you get fully immersed into, because you had that racing background? Did you start racing on the mountain bike?
I did, yeah, I did some local just cross country races, and I got smoked. You know, I was the kid that would be the last one up the hill, but would, pick everybody off on the downhill and
Mm,
would finish, upper mid pack. And cross country just wasn't my thing until, I mean, I'm 40 years old now, and until about 5 years ago, I just never appreciated a good climb, and so I, quickly realized that was I was never going to succeed, racing cross country, and fast forward a few years, I was able to get a dual suspension, and Norba was the series at the time, and Norba would always come to Utah and have a big race at Deer Valley. And
mm.
I grew up in a really, really cool neighborhood. 5 houses away from me were what we called the dirt trails. And
Oh,
it
nice.
was just this like quarter acre of dirt that we would just mold constantly. And, we would just do neighborhood races and whatever else. And um, so I had two good friends that rode trials. One was Vaughn Williams, who was in some of the Thor Wixom movies, the Down movies, and
Oh,
another
dang.
one, my friend Cody. So, all of our families went up to Deer Valley to do the nationals, and I was the downhill kid, and they were the trials people, and they're the trials guys, and it was just this really fun vibe that felt so welcoming. I mean, I remember my first chairlift ride up to do the Norba National on my Cannondale, and right at the top it started raining, and we were like hiding under trees, and my family stayed at the bottom of the hill to see me come down. So I was by myself, like 12 years old up there, and the clouds cleared, the rain went away, and we got our runs in. And I had no expectations. I had never done a downhill race. I had never even watched in person a downhill race.
Oh, man.
And I was I mean, I was wearing like jean shorts and a t-shirt, right? Like no,
Yeah.
I didn't have shin guards,
Wow.
and was able to do pretty well there. And I think I got second at my first ever downhill race, and from
Dang.
there it was just game on for a really long time.
There's that podium again. There is a common theme in your races. uh, Obi-Wan Todi says, I'm actually a COVID rider. Shout out to the COVID riders. I am too. Started riding about 4 months ago. First bike I have right now is a Scott Hardtail.
Yes,
Nice.
yes.
Yeah. Tell them, Curtis, tell them about the your purest view of the hardtail. And I think this is going to be great for you, Obi-Wan.
The hardtail. So the beauty of the hardtail is you'll learn very quickly, probably the hard way, to navigate through rock gardens the right way. And learning your way to pick your way through lines, and the way that the bike hooks up through corners, and so on, and the way it jumps, it's the foundation that you need to really be able to become a great rider later.
There you go. From Curtis Ellis, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's great, because I find myself tuning down my rebound on my back suspension when I just started jumping, just so I can minimize that
Yeah,
bucking, getting bucked,
yeah,
not going
yeah.
OTB.
You don't want to get bucked. Yeah,
No, no, everything else it seems like you can correct, but the whole bucking is just kind of hold on and scoot back and pray for
yeah,
the best.
yeah. It's all about how you react in the air, right? Like you could go off the lip in any sort of funny way, and you just got to react in the air and make it happen when you land.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw you guys, man. That for the folks of you who have been to Vale, I was following Curtis and his buddy Isaac. Gosh,
Ian, Ian.
Ian. Thank you. I knew it
Yeah,
started with an. I knew it started with the I.
yeah,
Super cool dude, by the way.
yeah.
And as you get to the bottom of Tunnel of Love, there's that section where you go up. really hard left and you go high. There's um, there's a little spot where you can go over two rock gardens, down off of a log drop into a jump that clears this trail. And I saw Curtis dropping into it and just laid that bike nicely over and big old whip of the tail. It's so smooth. I was like, oh crap.
That's
So,
I had so we I mean we go to Vail every single week. You know, I go multiple times a week, but I make sure that my family gets out there at least once a week. And man, we've sessioned that thing hundreds of times. It's so much fun.
that place is great. And God, how much stuff are they building there? They're building so much stuff out there at Vale. It's new
It's
trails
so
everywhere.
good. Yeah, it's amazing. It's when we moved here to California, geez, 4 years ago, I think now. Vail was one of the first places we rode, and I was like, meh, this place is okay. And then, all the boys took over and they started charging you way more money to go ride. But then seeing what they're building and all the infrastructure they're building, it's gonna be a mecca for mountain biking, and it's gonna be a powerhouse here very, very soon.
I totally agree. I mean, that place, they hired on some of the local OGs that built out Greer.
Yep.
Guys like EC are out there carving up lines, making future places for us to ride. So it's going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah.
this
It's so good. Yeah.
this kind of goes along with it right here. Obi-Wan Todi asks, "What local trails do you go to, Curtis, and how'd you like Hold to Crooks Mark?" Go ahead, Curtis, if you want to go first on that local trails part.
So where I live in Temecula, I'm 2 minutes and 44 seconds riding time from my driveway to the cross trail. So um, it's not the most fun trail in the world, but it's what I refer to as a means to an end. You get a really good climb in if you do 4 or 5 laps on that thing. You get a good 14 miles in. But the downhill is pretty technical. It's really fast with some outcropping of rocks you have to kind of navigate through and go around. And it's right up the street from where KTM and Husqvarna's headquarters are. So, if you're on Strava and you're looking at the PRs and the fastest guys on that trail, they're all incredible athletes, supercross pros, team managers for KTM and Husqvarna. And it's I'm slightly competitive, and it's been really fun. So I ride that trail honestly 3 to 5 times a week. Um, I try to go to Vail with my buddy Ian, once a week at least, and then Greer. I ride Greer as much as I possibly can, just because it's so vast. There's so many different trails you can ride, and when I ride Vail, I definitely get an adrenaline rush. There's some really, really technical hard trails off of the top, 4114, Matco, ladders. But at Greer, it's like another level of technical riding. And I mean, last time we rode there, we went up to do Insidious and we saw the new TMB trail, so we dropped in on that.
Mm.
You know that moment riding bikes with friends when you get to the bottom and everyone's just smiling. You're almost speechless, and you just high five.
Yes.
It was that kind of moment. And so those are the three kind of areas that I ride the most. I do venture down to Black Mountain as much as I can. But with COVID and my work schedule and working from home, I try to stay as close as I can. So,
Yeah, no, that's definitely, those are great trails. I mean, gosh, look at all the trails that we have just right here, Curtis. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I love Greer as well, and I definitely want to check out some of the trails, other trails that you ride. But Greer and Vale, I can't believe they're just here in town. it's it's amazing.
Me and my wife, when we drove out here to consider moving here, we had a realtor showing us all these different houses, and we drove by Greer, and I saw people with full faces riding out, and I was like, no, we're good here. This is good.
Yeah,
Let's
this
stay
is
here.
the spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that light bulb or that cha-ching sound goes off. You're like, whoa, okay, here we go.
I just opened Strava. I was like, what's here? Let's look.
I love it. I love it. Obi-Wan says Greer looks gnarly. It definitely has some gnarly stuff on it. I mean, that TMBDH is definitely no joke. No,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
joke. But then there's Double D. That's super fun and flowy. and then a newer rider can go down overdrive and
Mhm.
distortion. Just like what I do, because I'm also a COVID rider, is if people come up behind me, I just look for a good spot to pull over. If I hear rider, I know they're talking to me.
Yep. Yep.
I gotta pull over and give them some space, and I never
Yeah.
I which is awesome. And I never try to stop on the trail too. That's also important because people could come around the corner so quickly. So I always, if I have to pull over, I just pull off the trail. But
Yep.
yeah, it's the trails at Greer can be gnarly, but they could also be tame at the same time. Just depends on how you ride it. Although I take back the TMBDH, that one's just gnarly no matter which way you go at it.
And I think I have the wrong names for some of the trails, but White Rabbit, anybody can ride White Rabbit. There's a
Oh
bit of a
yeah.
climb out of it, but it's a nice long ride, and if you do it the right way, you get to hit a bunch of jumps on the way down through. I think it's Jumping Mouse, and
Yes,
you
yes, I
know,
forgot about that. The
yeah,
rabbit hole over to Jumping Mouse.
yeah, yep,
Yes.
yep,
Yeah, that one's a good one. Obi-Wan Toady, that one's a good one. That one actually highly recommend that one. Double D, rabbit hole, and then Jumping Mouse. Because Jumping Mouse, you can bypass every jump if you need to,
yep.
or you could take them if you want. You can pick and choose.
Totally, and there's a lot less traffic on White Rabbit, so you don't have to worry about faster riders coming up behind you, and you're kind of out there, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not in the whole mix of where all the gnarly trails are. So
Yeah, that's true. I forgot all about that one. That's a good call. That's a good call. I see that there are a lot of other folks on it. If you guys want to, chime in, let us know. We're talking about first bikes. We're talking about trails. If you want to also put in maybe where you are, city, state, or your favorite trail, we'll definitely be happy to field that. But Curtis Ellis is the vice president of sales for the Bolle brands, and we're getting to know his story today. And we're getting up to the part where he just got his first dual suspension bike, mountain bike, and was going down some races. His first race, he was wearing jean shorts, no shin guards, and ended up hitting the podium probably at second.
yeah,
So we're going to take it back up from there. And this is probably 1989. So you were just getting 2 years
yeah,
after BMX,
yeah,
right?
yeah. This was probably 2012, 2011, somewhere in there. And from there we just rode every single day. It's what the neighborhood I grew up in was full of kids my age that love to ride bikes, and we had freedom. We lived out in the country a little bit, and um, the kind of the suburbs of Salt Lake City, and you know, it, we just rode bikes every single day. We were swapping parts, learning how to be mechanics, and stripping out
Dang.
bolts and all that good stuff. And
Wow.
it was a formative time for sure. There's no question.
Wow. What an awesome childhood. I mean, what a beautiful area too. Geez, the mountains of Salt Lake City back there, all those different parks there are back there. It's just gorgeous.
Oh, it's so
Um,
fun. Yeah,
Golly, jealous.
I
uh,
miss it. I miss it a lot. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, God, what a great place, especially now. We have COVID health impacts on COVID health and wellness. I mean, the great outdoors. That's definitely a place that you came from,
Hmm.
and it's something that you can do today. Like you said, you look out in the garage and you got your bike right there, and it's ready to go. It's ready to get you out.
Hmm.
Um, as you were saying earlier, you're cut from the action sports side, and you got on board with Oakley. How how did you how did that path all start into your career side? Was that on purpose, on accident? Was it the only thing that was available at the time, or how did you get over to where you are now?
You know, it was fate or serendipitous, however you want to look at it. But at 16, when I got a license in a car, I got a job at a bike shop, and started kind of learning the whole ropes of the bike industry and how it all worked, and started meeting with reps when they would come in, and they would kick down a wristband here or
Hmm.
something there. And I thought, man, these guys cruise around all day, they refill your display case, and they give out free stuff. Like, that's a cool job to have.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I worked in bike shops for for quite a few years, different bike shops throughout Salt Lake City, and you know, I was racing and I got hurt and broke bones and ended up, you know, moving away from it. And I was working with my brother-in-law actually at the time at an engineering firm, and um, you know, it's kind of a funny story, but I was out, you know, partying with some friends in Park City at a Method Man concert, and ended up at a house party later, and I met, you know, a woman who now is my wife,
Oh, wow.
and she was the nanny for the principal Oakley reps in Salt Lake City. And
No
so,
way.
so
What?
I got to know them, and I told them I wanted to work with them, and they said no, it's probably not going to happen. And you know, fortunate for me, they took a chance on me. They gave me a shot, and it was funny because they said to me, you know, we can't hire you from an engineering firm. You have to make a career change before we can bring you on board.
No
So,
kidding. Did they know
and
you ripped on
uh,
bikes?
I never rode with them. I don't know, and but it was a really funny moment. I took my girlfriend at the time to Moab to go ride bikes, and on the drive home, she said to me, and this was like a genuine life changing moment for me. She looked at me and said, "Quit your job tomorrow. Let's move in together. I'll pay your rent." And
Whoa.
I was like, "Who are you? Like this doesn't happen."
Yeah.
And and so I did. I was like, "Yes, I hate my
Wow.
job. This is
Wow.
awesome." And
Your
so
engineering job, you're like, this is so not me.
yeah, I was like, I don't know. I'm just like going through the motions of life at this point, you know, like
Yeah.
24 years old, 23 years old at the time or something. And um, so I quit. We moved in together. I got a job at Bingham Cyclery and was just, you know, cranking away at $8 an hour. I had 33 cents a day for lunch, and I was eating top ramen, and it was an amazing time of my life. It was super, super
Wow.
fun. Um, and you know, taking that initiative to quit a career path that was going to
Mhm.
completely shift career paths showed a lot of initiative, I think, to the principal reps, to Kim and Steve,
Mm.
and they took a chance. They hired me, and I knew at that moment this is my chance to make sure I
Mhm.
don't end up doing construction or something like that for the rest of my life, and
Mhm.
put absolutely everything I had into it. And that's kind of what got me into the eyewear industry. And you know, from there, you know, Oakley grew and they split paths. I took the optical channel and ran that as the principal rep for some years, and eventually, you know, I had a great territory. It was cruising right along, and you know, and I love Oakley. I'll never speak ill of Oakley, but you know, they had been acquired by a big conglomerate and things were changing. And
Mhm.
um,
Culturally speaking.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Spy had called in the past, and I decided to make some calls back, and I ended up taking a position in October of 2014 as the regional sales manager for Spy, covering the west coast of the U.S. So that
Way.
job basically is managing key accounts and then managing all the rep force, you know,
Wow.
for the west coast.
Wow. Now at Spy, did they have the sub rep position supporting the principal rep, or was at Spy, if you're the rep, you're managing that territory, you're the one?
It's kind of both, to be honest. It just depends on the territory and the amount of sales revenue and volume that you're generating.
Hmm.
You know, if you have a really good principal rep that has great relationships, you never want to uproot that. You know, you want to
Mm.
make sure that stays intact.
Yeah.
And so it really is just hit and miss, and just depends on the revenue and the personalities and the relationships.
God, man, I remember going back to Oakley. I remember, is it the Froggies? Is that the style sunglasses they had? Were they the frogs or the
The frog
frog?
skin,
The
the
frog
frog skin.
skin. Frog skin.
Yeah.
Those were the best, man. Those were like the first time we ever saw that, or at least I can remember where we saw that reflective color lens, that
The
bright,
mirror. Yeah.
yeah, that mirror blue, that mirror red. And I
Yeah.
remember as a kid, I'm like, I gotta get one of those. And then I saw the price
Yeah.
tag. I was like, how many lawns am I gonna have to cut to get one of those?
Well, it's funny because frog skin is, you know, it was named after greenbacks because Oakley was in a tough spot and they needed money, so they called it the frog skin
No
because they
kidding.
needed greenbacks. But you know,
Whoa.
what's really interesting is as a rep, you go out to all these different events where you show up with all the other eyewear reps and you pop your 10 by 10 tent up and you put some product out and you do your thing. And about a year before I got on board with Spy, they had just launched the Happy Lens. And I walked over to the Spy rep and I said, "Hey, what's up with these?" And I put them on and I looked through the lens and I was like, "Oh shit, these are really, really good.
Yeah.
This is a game changer in the eyewear industry." And I'm a very technical person, and I feel like you should buy sunglasses obviously if they fit right and they're the right color and price, but really you should look through the optics and make sure that it's providing you the experience of seeing the world the way you want to see it.
Hmm.
And so that the Spy's proprietary Happy Lenses was kind of the catalyst to really want to be involved with the brand. and
Wow.
and on the other side of it was a guy named Michael Marks who was very into cycling. He started the Belgian Waffle Ride, the BWR, and
Mm.
he's a world class cyclist, and he's a great leader. And I was like, man, I want to work with this guy, and this looks like a great opportunity. And with Oakley, I felt like I had a really warm, fuzzy, cozy blanket, and this is kind of that moment in your life where you step out of your comfort zone and it really drives you to succeed because you're out of your comfort zone. If you're competitive, you don't want anyone else to see you fail outside of what you've been doing for so long. And
Yeah.
you know, 6 years later, here I am, still pumping the Happy Lands. So.
That's so cool. Yeah, definitely comfort kills in more ways than one. And sometimes you just got to take that blind leap of faith. If you see something or get that gut feeling, you just got to go, got to start, got to try.
Hmm.
Speaking of starting and trying, here, one of our guests tonight, Brianna Thomason, actually the wife of Nate Thomason, who's one of the trail dogs of Trail Dogs MTB, says, just did my
Yeah,
first Greer ride with Nate, did Jumping Mouse, and it wasn't too bad. Great beginner trail. Yeah. See, Obi-Wan Toady, we're putting you down the right trails, buddy.
yeah, yeah. We won't steer you the wrong way.
That's right. Awesome, awesome, Brianna. That is really cool. I actually saw the IG of you out front of Nate, and he was kind of coaching you from the back. So I thought that was awesome. Good job on being out there. Can't wait to see you out there. Um, so I'm so happy that you did that jump, and it sounds like you're happy you went over to Spy. Was that technology of those lenses, when you look through them, was that when they started really getting competitive and different with the polarized lenses, or what made that lens a game changer?
So the Happy Lens comes polarized or non-polarized. So what polarization does for you is it eliminates polarized light. The best example I could give is when you're looking at a nice mountain lake and it looks like a sheet of glass or a mirror, right? And you can't see through it because of all the glare because it's so smooth. When you put on a polarized pair of glasses, it cuts through that glare and you can see straight through the water. So
Hmm,
polarization eliminates 99% of glare. And you get
okay,
glare off of any horizontal surface. But
gotcha.
what the Happy Lens does is it enhances contrast and clarity in any light condition, but it also it's patented. It's the only lens on the market that gives you a therapeutic benefit with an uplift in mood and alertness. So,
Huh.
serotonin is released by, long wave blue light, but
Yeah.
you also get bad rays from the sun, so harmful UV and shortwave blue light. And shortwave blue light, to make it very simple, is very similar to what you get from your cell phone or your computer screen.
Hmm.
It's very harmful. So what we know is that long wave blue light peaks at 480 to 500 nanometers. So we built our light curve around blue light 480 to 500 nanometers. So it's filtering out all shortwave, but letting in all long wave blue light to give you an uplift in mood and alertness.
Holy cow! So you can release the serotonin, which is one of the um, things for happiness. Very
Yeah,
clever. Very
yeah,
clever.
yeah,
Wow, dude, there is so much science that goes into lenses, and I've always loved Spy, just as a skateboarder growing up, and then later moving down to San Diego, becoming a surfer. Spy
mhm,
was always kind of in that culture, but to hear that they've got such killer stuff like that
yeah,
makes me
yeah.
like it even more.
It also
Um,
just makes the world look great.
Yeah, I need to get those for my wife, so when she sees me, I can be like, "Hey, babe." Always look good. She's always happy when she looks at me.
Exactly, exactly.
uh, so okay, so recently for the folks out there, I see more people are hopping on. This is Curtis Ellis. He's the vice president of sales for the Bolle brands, and let's talk a little bit about the company. You know, being vice president of sales is a big role, but even now things have changed as Bolle now is entered into the mix. Can you tell us a little bit about it and maybe delineate how the company is somewhat split up but the same?
Definitely, yeah. So, Spy was acquired in September of 2019 by Bolle Brands. Bolle eyewear, the actual physical product, has been around for since 1888. You know, it's the
Wow.
premium sport performance eyewear brand. It's very, very well known in Europe. It's well known here for sure, no question, here in the States. But it's like the Oakley of Europe, and um, they, private equity firm purchased Bolle and Serengeti in, I don't even know the exact date. It was about 6 months before they acquired Spy.
Mm,
And
wow.
what they realized is they needed some distribution help in North America. And I mean, I would say without speaking out of turn, Spy's been on the table to be sold for 25 years.
Okay.
Build a company to sell it, and Spy was built by the Simo brothers that started No Fear back in the day. So
Oh, no
they're,
kidding.
no, they're definitely no slouches in brand building.
Oh,
And
yeah, dude, I remember all those the shirts and stickers and everything. Yeah, no
yeah,
fear.
yeah. So it was started by those guys, and so when Bolle Brands acquired Spy, we went through some restructuring for sure, but the headquarters for North America is still in Carlsbad. We've taken over management of Bolle, Serengeti, obviously Spy, and then H2 Optics, another brand in the portfolio. And
Dang.
so for me, what that means is at the time of the acquisition, I was actually the brand director at Spy, where I was overseeing marketing, product
Holy
development,
cow.
and creative. And um, I was very vocal, and I said, as soon as we make this deal, we sign all the paperwork, please, please, please put me back in sales. I learned a lot about myself and what I want out of my career, and I'm not a marketer. I'm a sales guy, and
That's where all the fun is anyway.
yeah, it's fun when it's good, and it's stressful when it's bad. But
Yes.
yeah. And so I now manage the Southwest region of the United States, Australia, New Zealand,
Good
Japan,
grief.
and then some of LATAM as well. So it's a fun
Wow.
job, and the best part of this portfolio, to be honest, is how well these brands work together. So in the eyewear space, you have now three big conglomerates. There used to be four. There's, Safilo, Marchand, Essilor, and Luxottica. Essilor and Luxottica have merged to be a true, like, it's almost a monopoly. It's a gigantic powerhouse in the eyewear space. So when you think about all these independent brands, why not band together three of these great brands together and work together to, get market share and really get the product placed? And
Mm,
so you have Spy, that's a great, everyone in Southern California knows of Spy. Most of the West Coast knows about Spy, but it doesn't go really far beyond that because of the resources and everything that the brand has had.
hmm.
So you couple Spy with Bolle, which is now your sport component to the portfolio in cycling products, cycling eyewear, cycling helmets, ski snowboard goggles, ski and snowboard helmets, and then you have Serengeti, which is a very, very premium eyewear brand, and the products are, I mean, it's Barberini glass. The optics are just crystal clear. So,
Dang.
but between the three, we should be able to solve or be a solution for any eyewear retailer there is out there, between those three options. So you have Spy, that was spawned in 1994, a complete action sports based, mostly racing, mostly moto and car racing to start with.
Mm,
Boris said, and some of the NASCAR folks, and so on, and Jeremy McGrath, in the moto space. And it branched out to be a little more surf skate snow oriented, but very much so rooted in action sports. Where then you have Bolle that is more sport oriented, but from a performance standpoint, not from a lifestyle standpoint. And then you have
Interesting.
Serengeti that is your fashion forward, super crisp lens, premium product, premium pricing. So the way I can best describe it is, when I'm driving somewhere, I'm definitely 100% wearing my Serengetis. When I get to where I'm going, if I'm doing a sport, I put on my Bolets. Typically, that's going to ride mountain bikes. When I get done riding my mountain bike, I put on my spies. I grab a beer, I cheers my friends, and have that kind of après aha, moment of lifestyle. So
Mhm.
the brands delineate themselves very well. None of these brands in our portfolio need to be everything to everybody. They all have their space, and it gives us in sales the ability to really fine tune how our distribution works, who we distribute to, and why, and make sure that we're talking to the right demographic of folks that understand our brands and who we are. So it's a great portfolio. I'm really excited to be a part of it, and we're just starting. This is just the beginning. We need to change some of the perception around Bole. We need to get Serengeti placed, and we just need to ratchet up the marketing and the distribution on Spy. But it's a fun time in the eyewear space to be part of this portfolio.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, the three big ones and working together so well, each having their own real lane is going
Hmm.
to be great for so many people in the demographics, and having each person in the demographics be its own bucket, so to speak.
Yeah,
Not one's going to be all three, but like you said in your example, driving, you're going to go Serengeti, just premium lens. You're gonna ride your action sports, going to be with Bolle, and then your cultural lifestyle, hanging out, chilling, blocking the sun here in SoCal, feeling good, looking good, is going to be in the Spy side. So,
yeah,
golly, man, that's a whole lot of good stuff going on,
it
and you're going
is.
to be overseeing all three of those brands on the sales side.
Yeah, so that's what we've been doing for about a year now. So there's myself here in the southwest of the U.S. I'm kind of the in-house sales guy, and then we have an East Coast vice president of sales, and then we have um, our Northwest president of sales that's based out of Vancouver, who oversees the Northwest U.S. as well as Canada on the wholesale side, so who sells to retailers. Uh,
Hmm.
so we got a good structure. It's definitely fun being global for sure. I mean, I was
Mhm.
on meetings today with literally the entire world, and it's crazy to see people logging in and seeing where they're from and everything. It's so much bigger than just this little kind of Carlsbad nugget, you know.
Wow, yeah.
For
God,
sure.
that's gotta be a trip, dude, to be like, "Where am I? Look what I'm doing."
Well,
Oh,
it is, and it was funny when I was fortunate enough to be part of the team that sat at the table during the sell of Spy, and when you're you know you have some suitors coming that are potential buyers, and you hear who they are, you're like, I don't know, Bolle, like I'm not sure, and they're not really present that much here in our space, and then to see what they had done in just a year's time, releasing the Phantom lens, which is second to nobody. I mean, when you're cycling, you need a good lens that works in all light conditions, and you need mostly an anti-fog on the inside that makes sure you don't have to take your eyewear off, and now you're exposing
yes.
your eyes to any sort of danger. And with Belay having a safety side of the business, they learned anti-fog quickly. And we have a platinum anti-fog coating on all of our performance eyewear that is second to absolutely nobody.
Dude,
So when it first happened, I got my hands on some of the light shifters. I still wear them every time I ride today, and it blew my mind how well they worked. Adjustable nose pads, rubber temple tips, rubber nose pads. They don't slide down your face. You have really good coverage, and then
wow.
couple that with the entire MIPS collection of helmets. I always wear the track down MIPS helmet. You have adjustable visors. You have a little sunglass garage that you can slide your glasses into, above your head if when you're done riding, or if you're hitting low light situations. And it's uh it's awesome for me. Going into it, I didn't really know what the experience was going to be, but then after touching the product, trying the product, I was it took me about 2 seconds. I was all in, game on, let's do this because the products are so amazing.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing for all of us in the mountain bike community is that we have a guy in a high position at an eyewear company there, Bolle Brands, with Curtis Ellis, and he rips. So he gets it. He gets what we're going through. He gets the protection. He knows exactly what we need, and we need that voice with these big companies. So they're putting out products that folks like us in the mountain bike community are going to want to get our hands on and love and all that. So it sounds like, based on that, is it fair to say that would it be Bolle that would be the one that we would reach for and research in, or would that also work for Spyoptic as well?
Both. So that's the beauty of the portfolio. So, if you're going up to Snow Summit to ride for the day, you're going to want the Spy Optic Foundation goggle. It's amazing. That's going to get you through your day. It's got anti-fog. It's got amazing aesthetics. Nice thick strap. You have impact resistance in the lens. But if you're going out for a cross country ride where you're pedaling more, you're climbing, and you're perspirating a lot more, definitely look into the Bolle light shifter, the shifter, and the chrono shield. The
Mm,
chrono shield is gigantic. It is truly a windshield for the face,
mm.
and it has adjustable nose pads, a nice sponge across the frame, so you don't have to worry about the one thing I hate about eyewear when you're riding is you get sweaty, but for me, I'm very impatient. So when I get to the top of the climb, I want to like get a squirt of water and just bomb the downhill. And as soon
Mhm.
as you hit that first big jump or your head jars, all that sweat from your helmet just pours down into your eyes.
Riding
And
blind, so to speak.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it dries up on your lens, and you're like,
Mm,
your vision is compromised. And
mm.
having a nice big sponge across the top completely eliminates that. So the Chrono Shield is an amazing technology, and the Phantom lens and Phantom Plus. Phantom Plus is a photochromic technology that you start in the morning when it's kind of sun's just coming up. It's a little dark. It's lighter for you. As soon as the sun comes up, that lens gets darker. So you don't have to change lenses. You don't have to carry a spare lens.
Stop it.
You're just dialed all day long. So
What?
yeah.
So for a place like Greer, if you're gonna go early morning at Greer, you're gonna be pedaling a lot, something like that, that phantom lens,
Mhm.
light changer would be perfect, right?
Especially Greer, where you're climbing with your back to the sun if the sun's coming up. But when you turn around to go down distortion, you're going
Mhm.
straight into the sun. So you need to make sure you have that sun blocked, because those rocks come up quick, and you
Yeah.
don't you don't want to be bouncing off of those things.
No, especially the wrong spot. Yeah, god, man. Trail Dogs MTB just joined up. That's a group of guys right there. We're talking about you guys earlier with Brianna Thomason on earlier. What's up, guys?
Woo!
Welcome to the show. Got Vice President of Sales, Mr. Curtis Ellis, for the Bolle brands. We're actually talking about Greer and talking about one of the recommended goggles for that area, and that's going to be on the Bolle side, right, Curtis?
Yep, yep. So that's the Chrono Shield. It is a pair of sunglasses. But like I said, on kind of for the eyewear solution for the mountain biker, it's really Spy and it's Bolle. If you're pedaling a lot, you're gonna want to go with the Bolle side. You still want to have your Discords or your helms for when you're done and you want to put on something to look cool and cheers your buddies and drive home in. But if you're pedaling a lot, you definitely want to stick with the Bolle um, light shifter, Chrono Shield, products like that.
That's awesome. Oh, here's this guy. You met this guy this
Yeah.
last week at MTB. Alan, what's up, Alan? Good to see you, buddy. He
Hey,
says if
Alan.
he puts those on, he's gonna see the rocks.
Exactly. Exactly.
Got to hit those rock gardens straight and fast.
Just fly over them. They're way more smooth in the air.
Yeah, I when I rode with Alan, he was definitely flying over the rocks, and I was
Yes.
flying. He was waiting for me. Well, that's cool, man. I had no idea that that's how the brands kind of work together, and that was just a perfect example of how they could be in their own lanes, or how they can really help the same rider with two different brands under the same
Absolutely.
roof.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's very cool. What's funny is when I talked to a few friends about Belay, a lot of them referred to skiing. They go, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
those are the really nice ski goggles, right?" And I said, "Well, I think they're getting into the mountain bike scene now." So Do you think will there be? I know you're not on the marketing side anymore, but will there be a push to advertise more towards the mountain bike community?
Absolutely. I mean, one thing I'm pushing for is to tap into NICA and really become part of the NICA, um, program that's going on everywhere across the country. The high school mountain biking is something that didn't exist when I was in high school, and to see the amount of kids out there riding now is so awesome. And like, I can't wait for my son to be in high school so I can coach, so before COVID, our plans were to hit, local races, pop a tent, seed product, let people demo stuff, and have some fun with everybody and just be part of the community, and with COVID hitting, it delayed us a little bit. We're still going to do it, no question. It's just a little bit delayed, but you will see much more marketing around the cycling side of Bolle for sure.
Mm,
It's definitely rooted in skiing and FIS and ski racing, which is very European. But
mhm.
we do have, here in North America, we do have David Weiss and some really prominent skiers and snowboarders. The new products from Bolle are just amazing. I mean, we have magnetic goggles, so the lenses, change really easy just from magnets. They lock in, so if you, eject or tumble, you don't have to worry about your lens, coming out. So it's kind of, Belay is kind of the all things sport. I mean, we even have sport protective equipment, for basketball and baseball and stuff like that. So
Wow.
it's truly just rooted in sport, regardless of what the sport is.
If there was one, say one mountain bike goggle you would recommend for riders out here in Southern California, where it's sunny most of the time, moderate temperature for the most part, but it can get hot,
Hmm.
and everyone always talks about, I always see people climbing with their goggles off,
Hmm.
and I have a feeling that's either fog and heat. But
Hmm.
if Olay has something that could provide a solution to that, which goggle would that be, or goggles would you recommend?
So, so it wouldn't be Bolle.
Okay.
Bolle only makes ski and snowboard goggles, where Spy makes mountain bike and moto goggles, as well as snow goggles. So the
Mm,
main difference is, on a snow goggle, you're gonna have two lenses, right? There's the inner lens and then there's the outer lens, and they're pretty expensive. Ski and snowboard goggles are not cheap if you want to get the right stuff.
yeah.
And so, I see people out in ski goggles or snowboard goggles riding their bikes. I'm like, what are you doing? You could have spent a quarter of the money on a good moto goggle, had the same protection without, having to replace this very expensive goggle when it gets scratched with all the dust and everything that's out there. Dust gets
Mhm.
on the lens, and then you take your shirt and you wipe it on. It's just scratching the lens. And so,
Mm.
what I would suggest is the Spy Optic Foundation Plus. So there's the
Spy
found
okay.
yeah, there's the foundation, which is going to be a clear lens version, and then there's the Foundation Plus that is a mirrored darker lens version.
Mm.
And it's the same chassis, same strap, everything. A couple months ago, we launched the Reverb collection, which is really cool strap art, a thicker, 45 millimeter strap. So that's what I would suggest is the Foundation Plus, especially in
Found
Southern California.
Foundation Plus. There you go, folks. And actually, if you go to spyoptics.com right now, they're having the 12-day giveaway, and we're only on day 7 right now. So there's a handful more days left of some giveaways. And when you first jump on, you automatically, by trading in the email address that's yours, you get a 10% off. And I think there's some other promos. There's some Christmas promos out there as well, right, Curtis? That
There are, and we just launched, geez, I think it was a week ago now, maybe a little over a week ago. It might have been December 1st, but it's this augmented reality, that if you go onto your Instagram, you go to your Instagram camera down to filters and you search Spy, you'll see the Marauder augmented reality filter, where when you click on it and you hold it up to your face, the goggle goes on your face, so you can
stop
see
it.
what you look like in the goggle, and you can actually flip the camera. So just hit the button that rotates the camera from you to looking out, and you can see through the lens, and you can pick different lenses to see what the world would look like through that lens. It's
Wow.
an amazing technology where you can try on and you can try it out uh, while you're sitting on your couch, literally. So
And
it's really really cool. We have that also within Belay on the Chrono Shield. So if you want to see what the Chrono Shield looks like, you can do the same thing through Belay, which is
that's
really really cool.
That's really cool because, man, so many times I'm either on Amazon or at a site, and especially now with COVID, you're out there listening and you're like, God, I want to buy new glasses because I'm hiking more, I'm riding my bike more, I'm doing outdoors more,
Hmm.
but I don't want to go in the store. I
Yeah.
don't feel safe or whatever the case is. That's cool that you guys do that. So say that again. You go to Instagram and you look for Spy Optics. Is that how you do it?
So you go to your Instagram and you open your Instagram camera, and then you go down to filters and then just search spy, and
Hmm,
the filter will pop up. You
gotcha.
hit the filter and it's like magic. It all happens like magic.
And
You
you
know,
can shop from there too. If you see something you like, you can go ahead and just buy it there on Instagram if you like. Or
you click over to spyoptic.com and you can buy, and there are Christmas specials going on through the sale section, so you can pick up some really really great products at a good price right now. So go shop.
I saw that. I saw the discounts on there, and there was like some things where they offered you a hat or gifts if you were to spend a little over $100. Obi-Wan Todi here says, "I'm looking for some nice goggles that fit over my glasses. Would the ones you were talking about be the right fit for that if you already have prescription glasses on?"
They do. They work really well over prescription glasses, and that's just part of the when we designed and released the foundation goggle, our goal was to have the widest periphery that's possible in the market. So,
Hmm.
what we know is you always see what you're looking at, but you on cycling specifically, you need motion detection. So, you can't really see it, but even though I'm looking at the camera, I can still see my fingers moving through my periphery. And so
Mhm.
you really need a goggle that wraps around really far so you can see that motion. And I would highly suggest the foundation to work over a pair of prescription glasses, or
Mhm.
to kind of double down on it. If you really want the best experience, I would go to sportrx.com and I would
Mhm.
look at their inserts that they make that fit in the foundation goggle perfectly. So you never have to take the insert out of the actual goggle. You just put the goggle on and you have a nice big insert that has your prescription in it. Uh,
No kidding.
yeah, and
Wow.
just tell them Curtis sent you. So.
Sport RX. Is that with Mark Sky? Is that where he is? Or no, that's somebody else.
SportRx they're San Diego based. They have a great business that they built. Sunglass Rob, who's also a YouTube guy, he has millions of views. He you can't miss him. Just go to SportRx, check it out, or go to YouTube and search SportRx, and you can learn a lot about eyewear optics through Sunglass Rob.
That's very cool. And I think maybe we have answered this one, but Trail Dogs MTB asks, is there a local retailer that sells your glasses so that we can try them on? And I mean, is there a physical brick and mortar that is, I guess these guys are more specifically in Riverside and Murrieta.
So here in the Promenade Mall in Temecula, you can go in and go to Allegiance. They have two big display cases full of spy products you can try on. They also have the foundation goggle you can try on.
Hmm.
And then on the Bolle side, you can check out the dealer locator and find a retailer near you. So
Love it. There you guys go, Trail Dogs. And then MTB Allen says, yep, Tony rocks those Sport RX. So uh, for the folks who are out there watching YouTube, he's talking about Tony from the Outsider channel, and you could see that sticker on his handlebars. I think it's one of his latest sponsors. He actually had released. Well, I don't want to spoiler alert, but go check out the Outsiders YouTube channel and take a look at his two big sponsors for this upcoming year. And MTB Allen has him in a lot of his videos as well, and it's awesome. In fact, MTB Allen and Tony were at their latest video. If you guys want to see that, they were at Sky Park and they discovered a new trail out there that they knew was there, but they hadn't taken it. So it's really cool watch. Curtis, I know we're getting up close to time, but I did want to make sure we covered a lot of this. One of the quotes that you had in here, if you don't mind, you said, and I love this. You said, "I can do hard things," and you refer that back to what cycling has done for you. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
yeah, definitely. You know, any mountain biker knows that when you head out on an adventure, so to speak, you're in for it. It's not easy. it's always a struggle, whether it's, you are ill prepared from your nutrition, or you are hungover, or you are just mentally not in it today. Maybe your mind's kind of wandering, but there's there's very, very, very few mountain bikers that get to the trail and quit. And that's the beauty of mountain biking. It's one of the main reasons I want to bring my kids up mountain biking. I mean, you saw my 7-year or my 8-year-old daughter out there. I had to kind of help her up some hills and stuff, but she rips. She
Yeah.
genuinely rips.
Yeah.
And that what I always tell her is, mountain biking will teach you that you can do hard things. And you need
Mm.
to cherish the moment and the feeling that you have when you get done doing that hard thing that you had doubt in yourself, before you did it. And that's just one of the things mountain biking has taught me, cycling in general, is persevere, get over the hump.
Mhm.
You have to put yourself in these situations where you challenge yourself, because the
Mhm.
outcome is exponential. You're that it's just like in business, the harder conversations are the most important conversations. And it's the same thing in cycling, whether you're mountain biking, riding gravel stuff, or road cycling, whatever it might be. When you're faced with adversity and you're out in the middle of nowhere on your bike, you don't have a choice. You have to
Mhm.
get through it. You get to the halfway point, you're like, I can't turn around because it's just going to push
Right.
me back. And
Yeah.
that's one of the greatest parts of mountain biking to me, is just, you set out on this adventure, and you don't have to quit. I mean, when COVID hit, I had spent just about a year off of Strava. It was taking the fun out of riding for me, where I was just trying to hammer these segments. And when COVID hit, I set a quick goal for myself. I just thought, man, I'm gonna, it's March 19th. I'm gonna hit 1,000 miles before the end of the year. And I set that goal for myself. And it was also a funny year because I turned 40, which sucks because, I feel like I'm 16 still. But I set a goal to ride 40 miles on my 40th birthday, and my wife thinks I'm just lunatic. But I left my house at 2:30 in the morning with lights on pedaling. I just went to the cross trail,
Oh, dang.
and I was looking at the temperatures. It was October 1st, and it was going to be super hot that day. And even at 2:30 in the morning, it was still 70 degrees at night. So I set out at 2:30, and I got home at about 6:30 in the morning, and I busted out 23 miles on the cross trail. Um,
Dang.
but my wife she's a spin instructor, a fitness teacher. So I had to come home to help my kids with distance learning and homeschool so she could go teach her class. So I got a little break in the middle. And man, talk about just a mental shift when you go out that early in the morning. You're tired, you're exhausted, and I was able to bust out 23 miles on my local trail. And I got home and I was like, yeah, 23 miles is pretty good. I don't
Yeah.
really need to go back out there. And my kids were kind of talking to me, and my son said, Dad, are you going to finish? And I was like, yeah,
Ooh, the gauntlet.
I
Yeah.
have to. So I loaded up, I ate some food, and went out to Vail and finished my last 17 miles. And that's just one example of making sure that you don't give up, making sure that you persevere all the way through and you accomplish your goals. And mountain biking, cycling in general, has really taught me that um, nothing's easy. If it's worth it, it's definitely not easy, and
Mhm.
you gotta charge and get through it. So,
Man, I love it. Wise words, and you're totally right. I mean, mountain biking, you get out of it what you put in. There's no easy way around it. The trails are going to be there, and it's up to you to make it happen. No one's going to be doing it for you. I know you and I were talking about this earlier, and what I love about the trails is that it's great to get to the top, right? And it's great to get to the bottom. But I feel like we can learn so much with the trail because in life we just want to get to the end point, right? We just want to get to the end. We just want to get to the goal. And we miss all the cool stuff in the middle. And sometimes when we get to the goal, sometimes we feel empty inside. Like, God, I'm here. I should feel different. I made it. I'm successful. I made it. I made it to this. I made it to the bottom of the trail. But what I love about mountain biking, what you said, is the journey, the journey all the way down. I mean, that's where all the good stuff is.
mhm.
Avoiding that rock, hitting the rock garden the right way, not giving up when you feel tired. And then when you finally make it, you've earned it. You got that giant smile.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. Um, let's see. We got some views for the Trail Dogs MTB on that
Nice,
note.
nice.
Obi-Wan Toady says, thanks, doggy. That's referring to this. He says, I've got dreams of hitting the local jumps one day. Yeah, you'll get it,
You
buddy.
got it. You got it.
You'll get it. All progress, 1% better each day, and you just keep stacking those suckers up. And MTB Allen, do today what others won't, so you can do tomorrow what others can't. God, that's another good
Yes,
one.
that's a good
That's
one.
that's another good one. That's right. You got to do what others aren't willing to do today, so you can do and have what others can't have tomorrow. Golly, man, this is
And
good stuff.
dropping some inspiration on us.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, when you look at it, when you look at a trail or you look at a goal, it really is up to you, to get it done. And you just got to start. You got to start somewhere because you're never going to be great unless you start. And you don't have to be great to start either because you got to start to become great.
No, nobody starts great. It's a
No,
it's a build up for sure.
exactly. I love everything that we just talked about. God, man, that was good stuff. Um, Mountain bike community. Maybe we could just kind of wrap it on down into this, and then I've got a big announcement that I wanted to shout out there to everybody who's listening in. But mountain biking community. What are your thoughts on the mountain biking community? I have here. You have some things about people and family.
Yeah, there's things you do in life where you you get a certain perception of this community or this tribe from one experience. And, you know, I'm hard pressed to think anybody who gets on a mountain bike, gets out on the trail, and goes riding is going to have a bad experience from the community. The community is just going to encourage you. They're going to help you. I mean, I broke chains or I'm ill prepared, and somebody comes along and has what I need, and they're more than happy to give me the parts, the tools to get me back up and going. And so it's, to me, mountain bikers are the best people that there are out there. So open-hearted, and it's just a big family. It's a complete family vibe, and that's another reason I want to raise my kids. And when I met my wife, she didn't even know what a mountain bike was. Now she's out, ripping around too. And it's this family vibe. It's a tribe and a community of people that you really want to be a part of, and that's what I truly love about mountain biking. And it's not only that, I mean, I'm proud to be a mountain biker. And you can look on YouTube and see the funny little videos of like shit mountain bikers say and stuff, and they're all wearing like
Mhm.
flannel shirts like I'm wearing, and everything. And it creates this kind of perception of mountain bikers that I'm proud to be a part of.
Mhm.
I think it's awesome, and so warm and welcoming. I mean, there's the fun stuff I like to read through in certain groups on social media of like e-bikers versus regular mountain bikes and everything. And I love it because I think it's fun, but I think e-bikes are amazing. To get somebody out on the trail that's never ridden, make it a little easier for them to get out there, ride, and help their fitness and fun and get an adrenaline rush. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And so the mountain bike community to me is a gigantic part of why I've continued to ride bikes my whole life. I mean, there's the mental health aspect of it, there's the physical health aspect of it, but I'm really, really proud, and I just want to say thank you to all the mountain bikers out there for being this way because it's so warm and welcoming, and it's not intimidating. You can go to the park at Mammoth when you sit at the top and you've never hit a jump, on your snowboard or skis, and you get intimidated just by the people. And not all skiers and snowboarders are that way, but there's no mountain bikers that are that way. It just doesn't
Mhm.
exist. They're so
God, it's
warm
so
and
true.
welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why it's built in that way. The first time I went out on a mountain bike here, I got a flat tire and I had three different riders stop and, get their backpacks off and look through their fanny packs and see if they had the right tubes for my bike. And I, I love all the sports that I've done. And, I did a lot of surfing when I was in San Diego, but that was like, that was a culture. It's a culture, it's a brotherhood as well. But there was something different, just having those, everyone stop. Are you okay? Do you need help? Let me see if I got one of those tubes. Just like, man, what? I'm just a regular dude. What the heck? I mean, this is great.
It's because we've all been there. You know, you've been the guy on the side of the trail going, man, I got to walk 5 miles back to my car right now. You know,
Yeah.
and this savior rides up and goes, "Do you have what you need?" And you look, you're like, "You have a pack or a hip pack? Like, what do you got?" And
Yeah.
it's because we've all been there, you know. And I think it's just so warm and welcoming. It genuinely makes me happy to think about. So,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's so cool. And yeah, we're out there on the trail together. It's like that brotherhood. I know MTB Allen and I were out at Greer and we ran into a guy who was walking down from the up to get to the top,
mhm.
and he had blown out his back tire. So luckily we had hand pumps and CO2 cartridge to get him back up to going so he can get out of there. That would have
Yeah,
been a long walk back.
I've walked from deep in Greer, so
Oh, man. Uh, well, oh, Curtis, it was great to have you on the show tonight, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everyone that was on Obi-Wan Toady, Trail Dogs, Crew, MTB Allen. God, we just had so many people that were on. Thank you for all the comments. Um, and folks, tonight's episode with Curtis Ellis on, I want to announce that I am now that you've heard about the products, what they do. You know that the vice president of sales is a mountain biker and is going to be able to give fantastic feedback into the brand for the mountain bike community. Specifically, things that we may need and things that work well. He also has great insight into that. I'm happy to announce that in 2020 and 21 that I'll be working with Curtis and the Bolle brands, including Spy Optics, to do some cool stuff. Some of those things are going to include some giveaways. We're going to do some giveaways, right, Curtis, on the IG,
yes, we are. Yes.
and some other things. So stay tuned for those giveaways and things coming up. But I'm just really excited to work with you, and I'm glad we got a chance to get this out there because there's so much good stuff, and you are such a great person to have in that position for the rest of us.
No, thank you. And I'm really excited to do these giveaways. You know, make sure that you're following the segment. Make sure you're following spyoptic.com and Bolle. And you know, it's gonna be fun. I mean, these giveaways are a great time. It's a great way to expose, you know, good people, good mountain bikers to these great products. And thank you, Mark, for having me. I'm ecstatic to be here. That's my little sister Kira saying nice work. So
Oh, nice work. Shout out to Kira.
thanks,
Oh, look
Kira.
at this. Joe Duarte. Nice, Mark. Now you need a mustache too.
This is my COVID mustache. I've never had a mustache since I
we're
figured what
we're
the heck.
we were backstage and Curtis was like, I gotta get my act together, man, before the show. I'm gonna put some wax on this mustache.
Uh,
Folks, if you want to get a chance to know who Joe Duarte is as well, UFC retired now, UFC fighter, Bellator, Strike Force. His story is amazing, guys. Came here from a little village in Guam on a dream to become a fighter with $500 in his pocket. Um, and if you were to look at him today and what he's accomplished and what he's done, it's a lot about what Curtis and I were talking about. It's burning the boats so that you don't turn around. It's do hard stuff, and you can do it and become, a little bit better each and every day, and stack those things up on a consistent basis, and you can do anything you want. He's another living example of that. Um, but anyways, awesome show, Curtis. Thanks again for being on. Guys, check out spyoptics.com and take a look at those goggles and glasses that Curtis was talking about. I'll have those in the show notes, and stay tuned for some other great stuff to come. All right, everybody. Thanks again,
thank you.
Curtis. Anything else you want to say to everybody before we sign off?
Just another thank you. And man, whoa, that was fun. So thank you.
Yeah, I recognize that from the IG. All right, guys, don't forget, always bet on yourself because all that hard work will always pay off. All right, guys, see you on the next one. Curtis and I are out. Woo!